All right. I want to blog about, something that I'm going to say I planned to overlook, but in reality, I didn't plan it this way, but it worked out so well for me and for this, for my continued conversation. And that is last week or week before last, my wife and son and I listed our top 10 movies of the year. And we don't do television shows because sometimes it's kind of hard to remember which show came out. I'm sure we would all had Orville, we would have had Star Trek, we would have had Luke Cage and Daredevil season 3, we would have had Titans that closed out the year. So I'm pretty sure we all would have had that. And maybe I'm going to try to start doing that, but it's a little hard to remember which shows come out every year. Now, that said, we all overlooked a movie that came out last year that I think is probably one of the most potentially impactful movies for the black community. Even more impactful than Black Panther in its potential. Also, a TV show, but I don't know if the TV show is written in part by a black person or if it's just better fitting a black character, or it just makes sense. Like the original Black Panther was written by a white person, created by a white person, but it fit so much of black science fiction that it just worked. The movie that we all left out is Kin, Kin. It was a movie that was produced. I don't know if it was created. I don't know if it was a dream that he had and he found people to put it together. But it was produced by Michael B. Jordan. I don't know who wrote it. I think from what I heard, he was involved in the writing of it. He made a cameo in the film. It starred Lisa Bonet and Lenny Kravitz's daughter. I can't remember her name. And another black young man. But it was an interesting story. It was a good movie. It reminded me of Slight, not the story, but how the movie did from Slight from 2017. Was that it was a black movie, got to the theaters, made for about $1 million, $2 million, and made about $5, $6 million, maybe $8 million by the close of it. I don't know if Slight made $10 million, but even if it only made $5 million, that's double, triple its budget, And I think Slight did something very similar. Of course, Slight had Michael B. Jordan. He had a really good year last year, an amazing year, but he really wasn't even billed in it. His character is probably more significant to the sequel than it is to the film. However, why do I think it is so impactful? Is the same reason why I think the Starfire character in Titans is so impactful and important. We learned in the second to last episode of Titans, and I'm not giving it away because it's in the comic book, but I didn't read the comic book, and most people didn't, but the spoilers are out there, so spoiler alert or whatever. It's an amazing television show, probably one of the top 3 of the year. But the black character from Africa, she's an African actress. Her character is an alien, Starfire, an alien superhero. She's got superpowers. And she comes from a potentially planet with other black people. Okay? Now, will it be a multicultural planet? I don't know. But whatever the planet is, they saw fit to send a black person to do something on another planet. That seems like it's a very important mission. So that's amazing. I don't think if it wasn't for affirmative action, we may have had a black astronaut. So even in America, I don't know if any other country has sent a black person, even though we people of color make up the majority on this planet. If anybody else has sent a person of color to outer space, okay? Even the countries of color don't even really have space programs to send themselves out there. So that's another story, but or another point. But either way, this planet sent a black person. Now, in Kin, again, spoiler alert, but it's got to be said because that's the important aspect of Kin. The fact that there is hint to extraterrestrial or black life in outer space. Now, I don't know any other picture other than, say, maybe Brother from Another Planet that has allowed black people to be in space. Even when we write about it, many of our stories that are celebrated come from an oppressed position of power. I think of Benti, which is last year and 2017's celebrated book, but by Indy Okafor. But in that book, the black people are not the creators of the ship, are gifted pilots of the ship, gifted in technology, almost like superheroes in the sense that they can pilot ships, right? And I don't know. I mean, I'm reading this book by Tobias. Can't remember what's like. Oh, shoot, it's right here. Tobias Bucknell, right? Wow, there you go. I'm almost finished, right? I'm like halfway through, if you can see, right? And just finding time to read is the biggest challenge. But even in his book, the black people in outer space are not the people with the most power. And they come from a position of underdogs, to say the least. I don't think that is the situation in Starfire's character. And I don't think it doesn't appear to be the position in Kin. In fact, in Kin, they seem like they have the upper hand. They seem like they're coming from a full position of power, and they have to even hold themselves back from being too powerful. So I think the cool thing with Kin is we're going to get to see that in the sequel. For that reason and the impact of that is why I think Kin is potentially even more powerful than Black Panther. Now, nobody's going to be able to, there's no way I'm saying that the impact that it had is bigger than Black Panther. Will it be as big as Black Panther? Not right now, but unless they have another planet of black people within the Marvel Universe, and Wakandans came from there, Wakandans are still black people on Earth that evolved from whatever life happened on Earth. There's no other origin for the Wakandan people. They lucked out, and they had this vibranium that fell in their laps. And they are also good because they show a traditional African culture with traditional African humanity. Now that's in the comic, in the movie. In Coates' comic book, they behave just like Europeans. So they're pretty much black Europeans. They behave like they're colonized Africans as opposed to Africans that were never colonized. That's a difference. In Hudlin's comic book, they're a mixture. they behave a little bit more like stereotypic African American stereotypes of Africans. They're not as bad as Coming to America, but they're damn sure real close in Hudlin's series, and in Priest's series, it's more of a comic book version, and pretty much he created everything that you see in all of the Black Panther stories. So his is more of a family. His is probably even more African in a sense than Hudlin's, who Hudlin's tried to, you can tell he likes Africa. So he, and African culture. So he bigged it up. But I don't, at the time, the work that Ryan Coogler and them did in Black Panther wasn't needed to be done to be groundbreaking in Hudlin's comic book. So I'm not going to take away Reginald Hudlin's ability to do what Ryan Coogler did. It's just that Hudlin's came first, and that's what needed to be done to make an animated series and to make a comic book groundbreaking. And I don't think if it wasn't for Hudlin's step up from Christopher Priest's interpretation or creations in the Black Panther universe, would Hudlin have been able to do what he did. And certainly if Hudlin didn't do what he did, Coogler wouldn't have been able to do what he did, or Coates would have been able to do what he did in their creations. All of those creations, all of those interpretations of Black Panther and Wakanda and the people of Africa are still Earthlings. They still don't connect any of the Wakandans themselves to the universe. So for Ken to do that, it is what? Holy moly. And then even for Titans to say a space black person can pass for a Earth black person is still significant. Okay? This is not a Klingon. Okay? This is a person that is a black Earthling. There's no other. She's, hooks up with Robin. She's been, walking around Earth. All she got is little red hair. That's nothing. Black women have all kinds of hair colors now, so she probably even looks like a hip black person who's leading the damn culture, now. So that says a lot. And I'm just talking about the symbolisms of it, in terms of the surface symbolisms. I don't know if the writers thought of all of these things, but they're certainly there now. And I did not include Ken. I'm probably going to do my top 10 over again. Ken will probably come in at 10th, just because it was low budget. The story was good, but it wasn't as exciting as Rampage or as Infinity Wars and Spider-Man and Ant-Man and all these other superhero movies that come out. It didn't even have the energy that Creed had. However, it was still a good movie, because you don't need all of that to tell a good story. Those are just extras. Those are like icings on the cake. The cake still has to be good. And Ken's cake was amazing. I just hope that they get to do a sequel, which the story really alluded to, and they get more money. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they can get, a $10 million budget and throw some more CGI in there. They really don't need any bigger name actors, but yeah, they can get some more CGI stuff, and that would be really hot. So anyway, even in Black Sci-Fi's written books, Black Earthlings being connected to black people in outer space is something that is not rare, but it's popping up in different ways. Probably the best example of it is from the 90s book. I think it came out in 93, 92. My favorite book, I always tell everybody, is my favorite book, is Zorro, A Tale of Alien Adventures. And in that book, you know, they do more than Ken, or they do what Ken could potentially do, and that is fully connect Africans on Earth to Africans from outer space. And that's like the most powerful. Now, there's anthologies like The Dark Universe. There's other books that I think even Octavia Butler has a story where she connects Earth black people to space black people, but nothing has been as empowering as Zorro. Nothing. In the Dark Universe anthology, Earth black people leave to go to outer space. That's powerful, and they, you know, terraform planets and stuff like that. But that still doesn't, you know, trump the Earth history. In Zorro, we not only built the pyramids, we created, and we were the Prometheus. You know how they have Prometheus in the Alien universe. Well, in Zorro, we are the Prometheans that brought life on this planet, or were the first to live on this planet. So anyway, I say all of that to say Ken is powerful. The legacy of Ken will go on and grow. I think potentially. I'm eager to see Titans season 2. So all that good stuff. All right, man, this was good. This was a long one. I couldn't see the time because of the light flashing. But thank you. Peace.